Hello everybody, welcome back to 3 News Now. This is your afternoon update for Wednesday, June 10th. I'm Stephanie Haney. Thank you for joining us here where we bring you the top headlines from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. If you do not yet have our app, you can download that for free in the App Store if you have an Apple device or in the Google Play Store if you have an Android device. I highly recommend it. In the app, you can also watch all of our programming for free. You can watch What's New at 5 p.m., where I see you as well. Also, What Matters Most at 6, Front Row at 7, and What Next at 11. We stream all of those shows and our Go Morning Show, by the way, which we usually don't talk about here because that happens long before I wake up in the morning. Okay, we have our new numbers in from the Ohio Department of Health. We get them every day at 2 p.m., so we'll let you know how things are looking with COVID-19 here in the state of Ohio right now. Just to give you an overview before we dive into the specific numbers, there is a significant spike in new reported cases from yesterday. The number of new reported deaths are also up, and hospitalizations are slightly up, but the number of newly reported ICU admissions is down by quite a bit. So our total number of confirmed COVID-19 cases here in Ohio, that's both positive tests and probable cases under that expanded CDC definition, dating all the way back to March 9th, is now 39,575, getting very close to that 40,000 number. The number of new reported cases today is 413. That's up from yesterday when we saw 325 new cases. This is after 2 days of a downturn in the number of new cases. We've now seen that jump back up to 413 new reported cases yesterday. The total number of confirmed deaths related to COVID-19 in Ohio is now 2,457. That's also a jump in new reported deaths. There were 36 new reported deaths today as of 2 p.m. That's up from yesterday when we saw 17 new reported deaths. So we had seen 1 day of decrease, now we're back to 1 day of increase again. These numbers really kind of jumping back and forth in terms of going down and going up from day to day. The total number of hospitalizations now, dating all the way back to March 9th, is 6,693. with 73 new hospitalizations reported today. That's up just slightly from yesterday when we saw 70 new reported hospitalizations. Monday, we saw 53 hospitalizations newly reported, and on Sunday, there were 37 new hospitalizations reported. So those hospitalizations just keep going up right now over the past couple of days. In terms of the number of ICU admissions, there has now been a total of 1,714 ICU admissions. And here's where we see a number that has dropped from yesterday. There were 6 new ICU admissions reported today. That's down from 40 new ICU admissions reported on Tuesday. Now, if we want to take a look at the number of people who are actually hospitalized right now in the state of Ohio related to COVID-19, there's also a drop in this number today. There are 575 people currently hospitalized related to COVID-19. That's a drop of 64 from yesterday when there was 639 newly hospitalized. So if we take a look at that, we saw 73 new hospitalizations reported. That means new cases today, but there have been some discharges. So with people who have been discharged, with those new people coming in, there is now a drop of a total number of hospital patients of 64, bringing that total number of hospitalized patients to 575. And the total number of those patients that are in the ICU is now 232. So that's a drop of 6 from yesterday. So when we take a look at the newly admitted ICU patients and the discharged ICU patients, that shakes out to 6 less total in the ICU today than we saw yesterday. Let's take a look at the national and the global numbers to let you know where we stand. The U.S. is getting very, very close to 2 million cases of COVID-19 reported. These numbers are according to Johns Hopkins University. The total number of U.S. cases is now just under 1,989,000. And the total number of deaths is now 112,311. So if we take a look at those cases and death numbers here in the U.S. as a percentage of what we see globally, we are about 27% of the known cases and about 27% of the known deaths in the world related to COVID-19. The total number of cases globally related to COVID-19, according to Johns Hopkins University, is now 7,283,700. 709. The total number of deaths related to COVID-19 is now 412,745. That's globally speaking. Here in the U.S., Dr. Anthony Fauci says that coronavirus has turned out to be his, quote, worst nightmare. Dr. Fauci, who has served as the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases since 1984, made these comments yesterday in an interview with Digital Virtual Healthcare Conference. That aired on Tuesday, according to reports by CNBC. So during that conversation, Fauci said, in a period of 4 months, it has devastated the world, and it isn't over yet. Fauci made these comments as the U.S. begins to slowly reopen from lockdown, all while massive protests are still happening over the police killing of George Floyd, who died on Memorial Day, May 25th, when an officer kneeled on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds while he said that he couldn't breathe. So those protests have been going on, of course, bringing lots of people in close contact. We are seeing lots of those people at those demonstrations wearing masks, doing what they can to stop the spread, but they are definitely not staying 6 feet apart as they're cramming into streets, filling the streets, and letting their voice be heard about their dissatisfaction with the state of racial injustice and racial inequality here in the country. Fauci also discussed on Tuesday how different COVID-19 is compared to HIV or Ebola. He said that Ebola was scary, but it would not be transmitted as easily as COVID-19. And while the coronavirus does appear to have a lower death rate than viruses like Ebola or SARS, it has become more widespread. During the interview, Fauci did praise the quick response of pharmaceutical companies who are working hard to find a vaccine for COVID-19. President Donald Trump has said that he would like to have a vaccine by the end of the year, but many health professionals are saying that it could be 12 to 18 months before we see a vaccine. One thing that has been being done in order to try and speed up that process is multiple possible vaccines are being tested at one time to see what works well and to see what can then be moved forward on. So that is one thing that the U.S. system has set up in order to try and move that process forward. Dr. Fauci said that the pharmaceutical company's response has even outpaced the public health response in some respects. And usually you see the public health response moving more quickly than the vaccine response. Speaking again about the Trump administration, Trump's administration is opposing extending additional unemployment benefits. Labor Secretary Eugene Scalia said that the administration is against a Democratic proposal to extend those additional $600 per week federal unemployment benefits that have been approved in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. This is under the U.S. CARES Act. So the $600 payment, which many people have received, is in addition to normal unemployment benefits. Scalia said that it was the right thing to do, but it's no longer needed as the economy begins to recover. So the money included in a government relief package, the U.S. CARES Act, of course, that was enacted back in March, has helped people to stay at home and be able to pay their bills while unemployment rates have surpassed the rates that we've seen since World War II. We've just seen astronomical unemployment rates around the country. The last numbers that we had as of last week, 21 million people were on unemployment. We're currently receiving unemployment benefits. In the 40 millions of people had been receiving them at certain points since March. So there's a new proposal that is out by the Democratic-led House right now. And those payments, by the way, are set to expire July 31st. So that's why the Democrats are now putting forward this new plan. It did pass in the House, but it is not likely to pass in the Republican-controlled Senate. Scalia pointed to last week's jobs report to support his point that he believes the $600 additional payment is no longer needed. He says that by the end of July, we expect the economy to be deep into the process of reopening, with shutdown orders ended and millions of Americans freed to return to work. This is what he told the Senate's Finance Committee. He says that unemployment benefits will still be needed in August and beyond, but he says the circumstances that originally called for the $600 plus payment will have changed, and policy needs to change as well. So that's an interesting thought if you just break down that argument from a math perspective there. So there will still be people who need unemployment. Seems like Scalia is arguing those people who need unemployment won't need that additional $600. But even if it is less people unemployment, to continue that $600 payment would be less money, because less people would need to be on unemployment. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Democrats are challenging that view, by the way. They're saying that the unemployment rate is likely to remain at historically high levels through the end of summer at least. And that is what we have been seeing. Even as the unemployment levels have dropped, they are still quite high, unprecedentedly high. Here in Ohio, Cuyahoga County is dealing with not only the COVID-19 pandemic, not only unrest over racial injustice, but also something that has not gone away, are overdose deaths. There have been at least 66 overdose deaths reported in May. Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner Dr. Thomas Gilson confirmed that the 66 deaths come from drug deaths pertaining to fentanyl, heroin, and cocaine. And this is not including 6 suspected overdose cases that are still pending test results from May. So depending on the results of those 6 suspected cases, we may be surpassing the deadliest month on record for fatal overdoses in the history of Cuyahoga County. That was back in February 2017 when 67 individuals died. So right now we are at a confirmed number of 66 with 6 suspected cases, and that deadliest month back in February of 2017, there were 67 people who died related to overdoses. Gilson said this is sad and disappointing news. Against the backdrop of the COVID-19 pandemic, deaths by overdose continue to be a public health emergency. If you or anyone you know is actively using or recovering from opioid addiction, you can contact Project Dawn for support. You can reach them at the phone number 216-778-5677. Again, that number for Project Dawn is 216-778-5677. Eligible program participants are giving free naloxone kits, which is the item that is used in order to reverse an opioid overdose. Additionally, the Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Services Board of Cuyahoga County provides 24-hour crisis hotline support. You can reach them at 216-623-6888. Again, that number is 216-623-6888. I know that's a lot of numbers. We also have that information on WKYC.com and in our WKYC app, so you can find that support information there if you want to look that up for yourself or share that with a loved one. Also here in Northeast Ohio, our brand new Cleveland Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski is encouraging players to get in the arena regarding social justice. So for the new Cleveland Browns head coach, social justice is just as important as teaching his players the playbook. This is, of course, in the aftermath of George Floyd's death, who died on May 25th, as we said earlier in the show. Stefanski said this today during a Zoom call with reporters, that the message to his team is simple. The message is simply, get in the arena. He says that he is all about action, and he says we want to be a strong part of the community. We want to be a strong part of positive change. He says that the Browns are working to give players the resources that they need in order to be active agents of that positive change. That includes educating them on which charities do what might be good options to donate to, what podcasts to listen to, and encouraging them to attend peaceful protests. And Stefanski does not only talk the talk, he also walks the walk. Stefanski and his sons attended a peaceful demonstration in Avon recently. Here's what he said. It was just a really enlightening moment for me, and I was able to share that with my boys at a young age. Here is some exciting news to end the day on for fans of Bill and Ted. Bill and Ted's Face the Music, the trailer is out. If you are an 80s baby like myself, you probably remember Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, which came out in 1989, and then Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, which came out in 1991, about these two buddies who time travel. Well, now they have a new movie coming out, and it's called Bill and Ted's Face the Music, and the trailer, we have that linked on WKYC.com. You're definitely going to want to check that out. There's a warning from the future that only their song can unite the world and save reality as they know it. So they have some minor qualms with stealing from their future selves, but eventually they hatch a plan to get into the future and steal that world-saving song. Now they're middle-aged guys, so they get some help from their daughters, new historical figures, and musical legends to create the perfect tune to bring world harmony. So the trailer came out yesterday on 6/9, which is unofficial Bill and Ted Day, and that stems back to the original movie. You'll have to check out that clip if you want to catch that reference. It will hit theaters on August 21st, 2020. Keanu Reeves, we're very excited to see you back in Bill and Ted's Face the Music, along with your co-star, of course, but going to be exciting, at least for me, to see Keanu Reeves reprising that role. That's it for your 3 News Now afternoon update for Wednesday, June 10th. We'll see you on What's New at 5 p.m. I'll see you there. And then, of course, we'll have more for you on What Matters Most at 6 p.m., on Front Row at 7 p.m., and What's Next at 11 p.m. I'll be taking some time off over the next week and a half, so I will see you back in a while here, but you'll be taken care of by the rest of our digital team between now and then, so make sure you come back for our 3 News Now updates. You'll have an early update and an afternoon update each day between now and then. Everyone have a great rest of your day. Enjoy this beautiful weather that we're having before those storms roll in, which we talked about earlier. I will see you back here in the not so distant future, and I'll see you at 5 p.m. on What's New. I'm Stephanie Haney.